Welcome to the desert of the real.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most memorable and startling depictions of future dystopias in film. Spoiler alert!
Oh? And what's so stinking about it?
Number 20, Escape from New York.
The once great city of New York becomes the one maximum security prison for the entire country.
NYC was going through a very turbulent time in the late 1970s, with the city infamous for crime, corruption, poverty, and violence. Writer-director John Carpenter wanted to make a movie about the cynical tone of the decade, being inspired by Watergate and gritty vigilante movies like Death Wish. The result is Escape from New York, in which Manhattan has been converted into a giant prison hosting the country's most undesirable elements. The film takes place in an alternate 1997, in which the entire United States has been taken over by urban decay and exceedingly high crime rates. It's certainly a bleak depiction of the future, but people had few chances to be optimistic in the late 70s.
You touch me, he dies. If you're not in the air in 30 seconds, he dies. You come back in, he dies.
Number 19, Gattaca.
They used to say that a child conceived in love has a greater chance of happiness. They don't say that anymore.
Penned and directed by the Oscar-nominated Andrew Niccol, Gattaca explores the concept of reproductive technologies and possible negative potentials for the future. In the world of Gattaca, the use of eugenics is widespread, with parents having the ability of choosing their child's genetic traits to ensure a good life. These people are known as valids, and they're widely accepted and welcomed in society. Those who are naturally conceived have a short lifespan and are branded invalids, meaning they are widely discriminated against and forced into menial labor. It's a brilliant concept for a movie, exploring themes of racism, classism, and discrimination through the lens of eugenics.
They have got you looking so hard for any flaw that after a while, that's all that you see.
Number 18, V for Vendetta.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
This movie and its source comic takes huge inspiration from the mother of all dystopian fiction, George Orwell's 1984. Its version of the United Kingdom is controlled by a neo-fascist political party called Norsefire, which discriminates based on race, religion, and sexual orientation. It also spies on the populace, brainwashing them with relentless propaganda. The use of video screens is widespread, and citizens are controlled with the use of mass surveillance. But the film also draws upon other themes relevant to a 21st century audience, including corporate corruption, intelligence gathering, and dishonest media campaigns. So yeah, not a great place to live.
This is not one of their tricks, but I don't care. I am me.
Number 17, Snowpiercer.
You ever been to the tail section? Do you have any idea what went on back there?
South Korean director Bong Joon-ho has established himself as one of the most eminent social filmmakers, with his works often touching on themes of classism and discrimination. Snowpiercer is no different despite its fantastical setting. The movie takes place in 2031 with the Earth decimated by a new ice age. Said ice age was brought on by humanity when their attempt at stopping climate change backfired. The few survivors live on the titular Snowpiercer, a train that segregates its population based on wealth and power. There are a ton of thoughtful themes to unpack in this bleak future, with elements of social inequality, environmentalism, and revolution all explored to fascinating effect.
We must all of us on this train of life remain in our allotted station. We must each of us occupy our preordained particular position.
Number 16, Brazil.
Information retrieval has got him down as inoperative. And there's another one, security has got him down as excised. Administration has got him down as completed.
He's dead.
Terry Gilliam is a masterful entertainer who made us belly laugh with Monty Python while also hitting us with thought-provoking dramas like Brazil. Another movie that was enormously influenced by 1984, Brazil also tackles themes of hypersurveillance and totalitarianism. In fact, the movie was developed under the tongue-in-cheek title 1984 and a Half. It's a world that is not only heavily decayed, but gray, lifeless, and full of outlandish technology and government bureaucracy. It all sucks the life out of protagonist Sam Lowry, who is a mere cog in the great machine of industry. It's hard to describe the absurdist drama that is Brazil. It's just one of those movies you need to see to believe.
I only know you got the wrong man. Information transit. Got the wrong man. I got the right man.
Number 15, WALL-E.
But life is sustainable now. Look at this plant. Green and growing.
Don't let the Pixar logo fool you. WALL-E is a bleak movie, and it presents one of the most depressing dystopias in film. By the distant 29th century, Earth is left a barren wasteland following some type of environmental disaster. The last vestiges of humanity survive aboard spaceships owned by a megacorporation while robots clean up the mounds of garbage on Earth. WALL-E is one of these robots, and watching him work doesn't make for the lightest children's entertainment. In fact, WALL-E is quite a mature film, and it will likely introduce many kids to grown-up concepts like environmental preservation, corporate greed, and even the end of the world.
This is called farming. You kids are going to grow all kinds of plants. Vegetable plants, pizza plants. It's good to be home.
Number 14, Soylent Green.
How can anything survive in a climate like this? A heat wave all year long. A greenhouse effect. Everything is burning up.
There's nothing good about the world of Soylent Green. This is essentially hell on Earth with humanity on the brink of total collapse. The environment has degraded to the point of being inhospitable, with runaway global warming causing relentless humidity and barren oceans. New York City is overpopulated, with the rich living in guarded and walled-off communities while the poor live in total squalor. Some serve the rich, while others fight in the streets for clean water and eat processed food wafers from the Soylent Corporation. Can't get any worse? Think again. Soylent's new product, Soylent Green, is actually made from, well, an ingredient that's revealed in one of the most famous, disturbing twist endings in film.
Listen to me, Hatcher. You gotta tell them Soylent Green is people!
Number 13, Mad Max franchise.
Their world crumbled. The cities exploded. A whirlwind of looting. A firestorm of fear.
While it's full of fantastic action and thrilling set pieces, the Mad Max franchise also has a vision, and it's a bleak one. The films are centered around societal collapse, with each movie presenting some unique representation of the horrible future. The first movie takes place on the brink of collapse, with crime and murder running rampant. The second is an even more post-apocalyptic film, with settlers and raiders fighting in the barren wilderness of Australia. And both Beyond Thunderdome and Fury Road present more fantastical stories, complete with underground refineries, gladiatorial arenas, warlords, and war boys. The franchise wonderfully blends the realistic with the outlandish, crafting one of the most unique dystopias in the process.
It was hard to know who was more crazy. Me or everyone else.
Number 12, Metropolis. Perhaps the most influential science fiction film ever made, Metropolis is every bit as relevant today as it was in 1927. The titular Metropolis is a city divided by class and powered by dangerous manual labor with a high risk of death. Powerful business magnates control the city from their high-rise skyscrapers, while the poor live in underground bunkers and power the city with treacherous machines. The visual language of the film is symbolic and highly influential, with the layout of Metropolis serving as a metaphor for class distinction and industrialization. The city was also influenced by biblical stories like the Tower of Babel and the turbulent Weimar Republic that was the government of Germany at the time. Number 11, 1984.
There is truth and there is untruth. To be in a minority of one doesn't make you mad.
Well, we've built it up enough, so here it is. Written and directed by Michael Radford, 1984 brilliantly captures the gloomy horror of George Orwell's seminal masterpiece. In this alternate 1984, Britain has been renamed Airstrip 1 and has been incorporated into the totalitarian superstate of Oceania. Its citizens live in squalor and are subjected to propaganda and constant surveillance. Big Brother watches over all, literally, and any behavior that goes against the status quo of the regime is punished by the thought police. Even history itself is rewritten to coincide with the concocted story of Oceania. 1984 and its concepts have widely influenced the dystopian genre, and names like Big Brother and Thought Police have become a part of the cultural lexicon.
Is tearing human minds apart. and putting them together again in new shapes of your own choosing.
Number 10, RoboCop.
Except there ain't nothing free, because there's no guarantees, you know? You're on your own. There's a lot of jungle.
Don't let the title fool you. RoboCop is a whip-smart action movie that punches way above its weight class. Like many dystopian films, RoboCop was inspired by a cynical reality, with writer Edward Neumeier taking inspiration from the bleaker cultural aspects of the 1980s. This included the introduction of Wall Street yuppies, the increasing power of megacorporations, the urban decay of Detroit, and controversial Reaganomics. The story takes place in a near future where Detroit has become an industrial wasteland, filled with rampant crime and corruption. The visual language of RoboCop is powerful, perfectly portraying a dirty city filled with rust, dust, smoke, and old machinery. It's not pleasant.
Excuse me. I have to go. Somewhere there is a crime happening.
Number 9, the Hunger Games franchise.
A little hope is effective. A lot of hope is dangerous. Spark is fine, as long as it's contained.
Adapted from the Suzanne Collins book of the same name, the Hunger Games franchise is undeniably one of the darkest series of young adult fiction-based filmmaking. It takes place in Panem, a dystopian nation composed of 12 districts. These districts compete in the annual Hunger Games, in which tributes fight to the death in a large gladiatorial arena. The Hunger Games serve two functions. They're meant as revenge against a failed rebellion, and they serve to entertain the elite residing in the capital, who cover the games like a sporting event. Like many great pieces of dystopian fiction, The Hunger Games embodies thoughtful themes of classism and rebellion, and it contains more than its fair share of horrible violence.
So what happens when we get back?
I don't know. I guess we try to forget.
Number 8, Logan's Run.
You mean to say that those people know ahead of time when they're going to die?
That's right.
Oh, that's silly. What's your reason for that?
That's the way things are. The way things have always been.
Are you over the age of 30? Well, I'm sorry, but if you lived in the world of Logan's Run, you'd be dead. Oh, sorry, renewed. In this movie, the last remnants of humanity live in a sealed-off subterranean city. Unlike other works of dystopia, the citizens seem quite content and live pleasurable lifestyles. However, there's one major catch. To prevent overpopulation, those who hit 30 are culled in a special rite called carousel. Those who don't accept the rite are hunted by the Sandmen and ultimately killed. The film was inspired by many elements of the early 1970s, including the self-involvement of the me generation and the counterculture movement that favored youth and abandon over age and conformity.
A friend of mine went on carousel. Now he's gone.
Yes, well, I'm sure he was renewed.
He was killed.
Number 7, Minority Report.
There hasn't been a murder in 6 years. There's nothing wrong with the system. It is perfect, I agree. If there's a flaw, it's human. It always is.
Steven Spielberg really can do it all, and that includes adapting Philip K. Dick and crafting a sci-fi dystopia. Minority Report takes place in 2054, with premeditated murder becoming a thing of the past. That's thanks to 3 clairvoyants called precogs, who receive visions of a future homicide and notify the authorities. They then arrest the perpetrator before the crime can occur. This sounds great in theory, but there are numerous problems associated with the program, including human rights infringements, loss of personal autonomy, and the titular minority reports, which is when one precog experiences a very different vision. Dick created his story to explore themes of authoritarianism, which he found worrying at the height of the Cold War.
We are arresting individuals who have broken no law.
But they will. The commission of the crime itself is absolute metaphysics. The precogs see the future, and they're never wrong.
But it's not the future if you stop it. Isn't that a fundamental paradox?
Number 6, Planet of the Apes.
I'm back. I'm home. All the time.
We don't know that Planet of the Apes takes place in a future dystopia until the very end of the movie, when the iconic plot twist recontextualizes all of what came before. 3 astronauts crash on a distant planet in the year 3978, and George Taylor comes to live with a society of talking apes in the imaginatively named Ape City. Of course, we learn in the final seconds of the film that this isn't a distant planet, but a decimated Earth. A nuclear war ravaged our home thousands of years before, destroying most vestiges of humanity and allowing apes to evolve into the dominant species, the aristocrats.
You maniacs! You blew it up!
Number 5. Akira.
逃げようぜどっかへ。
どっかって？
どっかさ。どっか遠くへさ。
Regarded as one of the best movies ever made, let alone one of the best pieces of dystopian fiction, Akira is a seminal piece of animation. Loosely adapted from the manga of the same name, Akira takes place in an alternate 2019, where Tokyo has been destroyed and replaced by Neo-Tokyo. This city is an urban hellscape, populated by rampant crime, ferocious gang violence, and societal unrest. Futuristic technology is also heavily utilized by the totalitarian government, ensuring their complete control over the oppressed populace of the city. With individual freedoms constricted and dissent swiftly suppressed, there's not much to enjoy about Neo-Tokyo, despite its rather flashy name.
尊厳も忘れ、築き上げてきた文明も科学もかなぐり捨てて、自ら開けた恐怖の穴を慌てて塞いだのだ。
Number 4. A Clockwork Orange.
We don't want to live anyway. Not in a stinking world like this.
One of Stanley Kubrick's many masterpieces, A Clockwork Orange is a challenging film, both in regard to its violence and thematic content. Futuristic Britain is in a state of complete anarchy. Urban decay and homelessness has set in, and roving gangs of violent criminals are a common occurrence. Enter protagonist Alex DeLarge, a gang member who gleefully partakes in, quote, a bit of the old ultra-violence. But the authoritarian government certainly isn't innocent either, and the film raises moral quandaries by highlighting the infamous Ludovico technique, a brutal form of aversion therapy that is meant to rehabilitate criminals. Kubrick himself referred to them as a totalitarian government that turns its citizens into little more than robots.
What we were after now was the old surprise visit. That was a real kick, and good for laughs and lashings of the old ultra-violent.
Number 3. Children of Men.
As the sound of the playgrounds faded, the despair set in.
It doesn't get much more dystopian than the complete extinction of the human race. That's the issue facing humanity in Alfonso Cuarón's Children of Men. For some unknown reason, the world is facing an infertility crisis, and women are unable to become pregnant. This has naturally caused global pandemonium and widespread panic. Making matters even worse is the horrid state of the world. Many countries are embroiled in war, a massive depression has set in, and the United Kingdom has turned into an authoritarian regime that throws refugees in cages. The movie's brutal world-building is second to none, as is the gritty way that Cuarón captures it.
It's the first baby in 18 years. You can't call it Froley.
Says who?
Number 2. The Matrix.
You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
One of the most influential films of the last quarter century, The Matrix is a fascinating flick that blends mesmerizing action with deep themes. The year is 1999, and humanity is flourishing, except in reality it's around 2199, and humankind has been enslaved by powerful machines that harvest their bodies as an energy source. The Matrix is a simulated reality that has been made by these machines to placate their human subjects and keep them under their control. A few humans have escaped the Matrix and now live underground, the surface having been left a barren wasteland. We can see why Neo puked upon learning the truth.
I don't believe it. It's not possible.
I didn't say it would be easy, Neo. I just said it would be the truth.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions. Waterworld. It's the world filled with water.
Just came from an atoll. 8 days east if you're interested.
Two drifters meet. Something needs to be exchanged.
I know the code, but I'll give you this one for free.
Nothing's free in Waterworld.
Dread. Mega City 1 is a post-nuclear wasteland infested with crime.
This block operates under the same rules as the rest of the city. Mama is not the law. I am the law. Mama is a common criminal.
Dark City. a dark biopunk hellscape controlled by the Strangers.
When was the last time you remember doing something during the day?
What do you mean?
I just mean during the day. Daylight. When was the last time you remember seeing it?
12 Monkeys. The few survivors of a deadly virus are forced to live in underground bunkers.
Human beings.
I think you're right, man. I think you've hit the nail on the head.
Fahrenheit 451. Firemen destroy all forms of literature in a government-sponsored book burning.
Monday we burn Miller, Tuesday Tolstoy, Wednesday Walt Whitman, Friday Faulkner, and Saturday and Sunday Schopenhauer and Sartre. We burn them to ashes and then burn the ashes. That's our official motto.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into settings and switch on your notifications.
Number 1. Blade Runner.
My birthday's April 10, 2017. How long do I live?
4 years.
Ridley Scott's masterpiece sure looks cool, but we wouldn't want to live in it. Another Philip K. Dick adaptation, Blade Runner takes place in a grubby 2019 Los Angeles. The film's production design is simply outstanding, crafting one of the grungiest cities ever put to film. Implied to be the result of some ecological disaster, the city is polluted, decayed, and bereft of nature or animals. It's also a victim of an omnipresent police force and an all-powerful corporation that controls everything. It's enough to send humans off-world to interstellar colonies. Colonies that are run by synthetic humans that don't have any rights and who can be chased down and killed by Blade Runners. So no, we wouldn't want to live in it.
She doesn't know.
She's beginning to suspect, I think.
Suspect? How can it not know what it is?
Which of these futures would you least want to live in? Let us know in the comments below.
What is the Matrix? Control.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.